No, you're not seeing things, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for round two on Sportswire Radio. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about here tonight. We have a guest that very well could finally be the man that finally replaces me on Sports by Radio. This could be the man. He's actually doing a podcast in his own right. He's doing pretty good with that. He actually did 3 shows in one day. And yes, I've done 3 shows in one day before, so I certainly know a little bit about that. I've done it many times. As a matter of fact, he'll talk about his podcast. He'll talk about, of course, our dear friends, BTW and the Sports by Radio Hall of Fame, one of our favorite companies, of course, the BYW Hubs Federation of the Year. And well, I won't get into that. We will talk about a pretty big match coming up here with our guest where he's defending that BYW Interpromotional Championship against one of the very best and one of the very coolest out there in the yard, Mr. BES. We're going to talk about this season ahead where it's going to be, I think, really, it's going to put BTW on another level. We'll most certainly talk about that. We'll also talk about maybe some other things going on in the world for our guest. Maybe we'll talk about the season and some different names that came and what's next. And maybe I'll even talk about this. I'll even talk about a Baja Blast that I actually liked a bit. And I don't change much from drinks I have. Although I did try Pitch Black famously once on Sportswear, but the Baja Blast definitely takes the cake. But we'll definitely talk about all of that here and some. But since he's here and I see so many here in the chat, I have to give our guest that introduction. I know he's been doing his podcast and he's been very successful at it, but I know on his podcast, we haven't quite seen him do this introduction, understandably so, because after all, 2 guys recently have graced this platform named Rhino and Savio Vega, and they actually endorsed my introduction. So there'll be more big names. As a matter of fact, we have another big name coming to Sportswire Radio tomorrow, but I'll save that surprise for tomorrow's show. But for now, I'm going to give our guest that introduction in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that he and BTW most certainly helped build here, Sportswire Radio, to the tune of nearly 1,400 subscribers, and the platform that they helped build, which led us to those legendary moments, the moments that crystallized this All Wrestling Matters movement, the two guests that crystallized everything that we've built up here over these last several years in Rhino and Savio Vega. But it is now time to get this show on the road here. As I've been saying throughout the evening, kick the weekend off here in style on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station. And by the way, I got my BTW shirt on. I'm ready for work. That's for sure, ladies and gentlemen. But it is now time to get this show on the road. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report. #1 global sports show. A man that is a multi-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. A man that is an up-and-coming podcaster. A man that very well could take over for us here on Sportswire Radio. A man that at one point this year, in the year 2024, had not one, not two, but 3 championships. He is currently the reigning, defending BYW Interpromotional Champion. His name is, simply put, the God of BYW, Comatose. The champ is here, my friend. How are we doing?
We are doing absolutely wonderful, Tom. It is great to be back here on Sportswire. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's good to be here, and maybe you are the man that we can pass the baton off to. Obviously, there's been different people that have come on, and we say this person could do it, and that person. you might very well be on your way to doing that. We'll certainly talk about that later, but good to be with you, champ. Always a pleasure. You're definitely one of our favorites here on Sportswire Radio, and it's been a hot skip in a minute, but let's go into current events. I always like to go into current events. You know the drill here by now. And let's talk about it
Absolutely.
because you are in action here coming up in a matter of days here. You're going to be defending your BYW Interpromotional Championship on the BTW YouTube page, and you're going to be defending against one of the very best. No question about that. In Mr. BES, he might be the coolest guy in the yard. Not sure if he's as cool as a Mountain Dew Baja Blast, but for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and everyone else in BTW most certainly helped build, which led us to those historical moments having Rhino and Savio Vega on here. Tell us what we can expect here coming up in a matter of days against BES, where you're defending that BYW Interpromotional Championship.
Alrighty. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Tom has just said to you, on the 27th of this month, I will be defending this championship against BES, who is a man that has repeatedly been able to get the best of me throughout this entire season. And I have to make a statement against him, which is the very reason that I put this championship on the line against him. Because, simply put, as this, if I am to call myself the GOAT of BYW, I have to be able to beat everybody. And I, unfortunately, just can't get over BES, so I want to entice him a little bit and give him a little bit of a reward for continuing his streak against me if he can actually pin me one more time. But that's besides the fact I'm the one that has something to prove here, and I will be proving it on the 27th.
You know, it's interesting that you said that because everybody's focused on this new era of BTW, this new season coming up in April, and we'll definitely dive into that, but not so fast for you. You have a really big match here coming up, and a lot of people in BTW are probably just all right. They've pretty much packed it in. We're getting ready for April, but no, not at all. You have a huge match here coming up. And talk about the significance of that because you don't want to go into this season coming up where it's going to just be a whole new venture for BTW. It's going to really change. I think what people think it's going to reimagine BTW and put BTW on a whole nother level. But before that, you've got this really big match here, and you certainly don't want to go into that season losing the championship. That's your baby, more or less.
That is very true, Tom, and I definitely do not want to do that at all for sure. The same recipe that I had last year in 2024 is the exact same recipe that I'm going to try to replicate in 2025. My first match back in 4 years last year, I won. And then of course, I lost the Rumble, but then I went on a hot streak. I got 3 titles, as you said, and that is my recipe for success, is to continue defeating as many people as I can to continue to uplift the legacy of this title. Now if I have to run through BES to do it this year, I definitely will be doing it for sure. He is first in line because he has earned it, and what a way to start off the year. What a way to start off the year for Comatose. The coolest in the yard versus the king of the West, to bang it out immediately.
You know, it's fascinating also because BES has already taken one title in another promotion. We know about the BCF championship that he's taken. We know that he's taken that title already. So he's looking to take more gold here. And the fascinating part of it is that he could have 2 championships outside of the company that he's known for. And he might have extra motivation more so than anybody else because of that, don't you think?
I would say so for sure, especially with how hot BES was last year. He definitely is going to continue to try to do the same thing this year and continue down that hot streak and get as much gold as he possibly can and prove that he is also one of, if not the best backyard wrestler in the world. But unfortunately, he's just going to have to get over this big roadblock, which he's done many times. But I'm going into this year with a different mindset, and it's not going to be the same as it was at One Night Lonely. It's not going to be the same as it was at the Rumble, and it's not going to be the same as it was when it was me, you, and Frost. This is
You
going to be a
know,
different animal.
No question about that. I'm going to put up the BTW link. We're going to put your YouTube channel up here in a minute, but I want to stay on BES for a minute because you've talked about the lack of success against him. We just talked about now he's got gold outside of BTW. We've talked about the fact he's the coolest guy in the yard. And going into a match like this with his success and his success against you also, do you and how much do you try to block that out what happened last year going into this match coming up here in a few days?
Um, I don't try to completely block it out. I try to block it out when it's necessary, to put it
Mhm.
best. But you can't completely block it out because you do still need the motivation to be able to get over that hump. And sometimes the best way to motivate yourself is to remind yourself of what is in your way. And I have definitely reminded myself multiple times, maybe not to the extent that Frost did last year with Swift.
Yeah, I mean, we
Um,
had him on here, and it was like that dude. I mean, shout out to Jacob Frost, but literally, like, I think he would probably eat, sleep, and drink to Swift.
Definitely, and you could definitely see it in his promos. You could see it
Yep.
in every single
We had him here
facet.
like what 3 or 4 times, and
Absolutely,
it was like,
yes, we did.
all right, I
All
got it. All
Swift.
right, I Swift. All right, I
It's all
got it.
Swift. Absolutely. So I do have a little bit of my obsession as well, but of course I can't let it hinder me. I need it to fuel me instead of poking a hole in the gas chamber. I need it to fuel me
Sure.
the right way so I can run straight through him, and then beyond that point, prove myself even further in this new, evolved, born to wrestle.
Absolutely, no question about that. I see a big chat here tonight. We're going to get to you. I do want to say hello to my buddy Skulls. Obviously, Adam Ginsberg passed away from West Coast Wrestling. Definitely want to send our thoughts and prayers. And we thank Skulls for tuning in and letting us know. I know he's on his way to training, and we appreciate that and such. But no question that you've got a lot to prove. And you've put a lot of pressure on yourself the last few months. You want to be the best. And not only you want to be the best, you want to be the greatest of all time. And that's why, like, this match to me, I feel like sets the tables for your year. There's no question, we talked about your year. We talked about the big wins. We talked about the success, largely highly successful comeback, an amazing comeback. You did all these great things. But this match, and again, we're going to find out what happens in a few months. But, tell me your thoughts on this. I kind of feel like that this match is going to set the tables for what's to come for you later on in this year. What's your thoughts on that?
I would have to highly agree with that statement, and that ideology for sure, because this year for Comatose is about proving all the doubters wrong. This year for not only Comatose, but for Born to Wrestle for BTW is about proving all the doubters wrong. And for my agenda, it definitely starts with BES because, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, it might be a hell of a way to start, but it is simply just that, the start, because there are other names that are in line for this interpromotional title, other names that have been running their mouth about my name a
I
little
think I
too
see some
much.
of them in the chat. I think I see some of them in the chat. We'll get to them in a little while, but there's obviously no question that this is going to set the tables. But if you are here right now, do me a favor, go hit the sub button for Comatose's YouTube channel. I'm going to plug BTWs in a minute where you can watch BES and Comatose compete for that BYW Interpromotional Championship. We're going to definitely take care of all those things here in a few minutes. But I want to go back to something else you said here on BS because you talked about that I have a lot of people on, and obviously two people that are certainly on the Mount Rushmore of anybody's in Rhino and Savio Vega. And it's interesting that you said that you don't block out the lack of success with BS. The approach would be, and I've had a lot of college players on who played college basketball, been successful Major League Baseball players, and they would tell me all the time if they had a bad day, if they had a bad game, they block it out. Forget about it. You not so fast. You're not blocking out the lack of success with BS. You're actually channeling that. And I think that's an interesting strategy here going into this coming Monday. And why? Why not just block it out and forget about it? Guys tell me all the time, forget about it. When I played basketball, I had a bad day. I forgot. Coach would tell me, Coach Mahoney would say, forget about it. He would just say, forget about it. He would say it literally like, forget about it. And we're like, that's it. But you're not forgetting about it. Why?
Um, because here is the fact of this matter. There once upon a time a famous musician, a famous drummer that couldn't quite get it all the way. And the only way he got it was when his teacher threw a cymbal straight at his head and almost took his head off. So,
Who was the drummer?
who is the drummer? I just heard that quote and I thought it was
Oh,
beautiful. I heard that quote and I thought it was beautiful because it falls into my ideology the same way. You have to be able to take a beating and recognize the beating that you took in
mm.
over to and over to get over it and over to be able to beat that person yourself, because unfortunately I am one of the most unorthodox people in the yard, yes, but BES is even more so,
Oh,
which
yes. Yes.
which is definitely something that is taken a lot of my time doing homework on the variety of moves that he could just pull out at any moment for sure. But the fact of the matter is if I'm not ready for any one of those moves, then very well it could just end up being the same outcome, and very well my year could not pan out the way that it did last year because, like you said, this match is going to set the table.
It's not as personal of a feud as the one you had with RJS, which was
Oh,
certainly one of the most personal in any memory. And people will talk about the yard, but as we know on this platform, is one guest that certainly has an issue with you here. I could see already that this is the only platform where everybody gets blended into, and now that's been forever. I think crystallized with Rhino and Savio Vega here. And you wait till tomorrow's latest guest, but I'll leave that for tomorrow. But this is the one platform everybody blends in, but the feud you had with RGS was one of the most personal I saw anywhere, because I don't just cover backyard wrestling. We get everybody on here, and I think that that's interesting that BES, it's the complete opposite. So how do you prepare differently than for BES versus you and RJS, where there was basically not only a war inside the ring, but it was a war of words outside the ring?
you see, with RJS, the way I prepared with him is I didn't prepare myself mentally for that match as if it was a match. I prepared myself as if, of course, as it was a street fight.
Right.
Because I've had a checkered past myself. It's not like street fights or something that I'm a stranger to. So it is definitely something you need to get yourself into the mindset of. But with BES, of course, I have an immense amount of respect for BES. Even though he may be the brother of Ryan, in my opinion, he is one of the most talented backyard wrestlers in the yard. I've admired him for years. Along with him, you know, vice versa. We've admired each other for years. So all of this is simply is who is better than who.
Yes.
He
I
is
think even
taking
his
the
own daddy, when daddy was coming on here, didn't have the animosity that he had for him, unlike his other son, which, you kind of alluded to.
absolutely. Well, one's a little more prickly than the other, that's for certain. I have definitely gained some respect for RJS as well after that feud. There won't be as much disrespect thrown towards him, if any, this year, because I have definitely gained respect for him as a competitor and as a man since he beat the hell out of me at November to Remember, and then vice versa with me first to him at War Games. We know who each other are now. I have to move past RJS, which thank God that I did, because like I've been saying, his brother is just all world talent.
No question.
And in
Absolutely.
order to be the GOAT, you have to beat those all world talents.
And a lot of those old world talents are here in BTW. And if you'd like to hit a sub button for me in BTW, I would highly appreciate that and encourage that, because BTW now has 3,200 subscribers. So we're certainly on our way to the big numbers. And I think those numbers are going to come this year. So if you, for whatever reason, haven't subbed to BTW, hit the sub button. And if you have subbed to them, tell your friends, your family, and please support them. And we're very excited about coming up here, BES and Comatose. That'll warm things up here, because, around the country, most of us are dealing with this extreme polar vortex. Where you are, it's probably like a normal day, but I'm not used to it. Most of us aren't used to it, but we'll warm things up here. We'll certainly warm it up here with BTW's special match they're going to have with the Interpromotional Championship, which Comatose is holding against BES. And here's my BTW shirt. All right. So I'll come back to some of that. Well, let's talk about BTW in general for a second. A lot of people want to talk to you. I'll get to that in a few minutes, but we have a season coming up. Obviously, very excited. I know we're not going to talk about certain things, but let's go into at the very least the excitement, knowing that even though today is only champ January 23rd, but it's right around the corner. That season's right around the corner. Season 7 coming up here. And tell us, how excited are you for people to see what you guys did out there?
I am. There isn't even, honestly, there isn't even words. So
Sure.
everyone knows how legendary BTW season was last year.
Yes.
Let's take that season and multiply it by 10.
Okay.
You guys are in for a treat. If and Here's another thing. I won't spoil too much, but if you thought the rivalry between RJS and me was amazing, just wait until you see the feuds that come out.
Well, I mean, that's obviously exciting. And, without going into details, there was obviously something you guys are wrestling on that is a unique experience. And
Oh yeah,
without going into too much details, what was that adjustment like for you?
it was seamless.
Really?
And
Okay.
I was honestly, it wasn't even just me that was it was everybody. Everybody, of course, has their quirks. Everybody, of course, has their learning curves. That includes myself. But it was the most fun I have ever had in my life, and it really, truly opened my eyes to my own goal that I want to prove to the world.
What made you have a further opening of the eyes? What
Of the
what was
eyes,
that?
just simply stepping in between those ropes, being in between those four ropes, being able to perform in an actual ring, just actually learning how to work a ring, the technicality of it, what we all learned, the actual blood, sweat, and tears we left in that ring, and not even just that, the memories behind the scene as you're going through the pictures right here,
I
right
was
now.
well, I want to know about this because I'm here in New York City. So tell us where you are and what's this place like?
So this place is called Sizzlers in Roseburg, Oregon. This place
Okay.
is it's a steak and lobster restaurant,
Okay.
and I did definitely order a tri-tip with a lobster, because I'm a big surf and turf fan, and if I've never
I've
actually
never
been
had.
to
You know
Sizzlers.
what? You want to laugh? But this is the chat will probably be like, "Wow, I've never had lobster in my life. Never."
I won't laugh because honestly there are just some people that aren't fortunate enough or have never just stumbled upon the experience of trying lobster, and there's nothing wrong with it, honestly. Some people just aren't even seafood people.
Yeah, you know what? Growing up, my mother would occasionally cook. It was tilapia. Sometimes, not often we would have something. My dad kind of liked that stuff, but we didn't have it often. It wasn't, we didn't really. I didn't have seafood. No, I didn't.
That makes complete sense. So that's completely fine. I'm a big, of course, meat guy in general. So
Well, we know
I'm
that from your
yeah,
job. I mean, obviously.
yeah, for sure. So I was ecstatic to go there, and it was delicious for sure.
And this was great. So
But
this was great. Yep.
yeah, definitely. $30. And honestly, for a steak and a lobster, that's pretty reasonable.
Wow. So $30 in Oregon gets you a steak and a lobster.
Yeah,
Wow, I don't think 30 bucks would even get me like half a steak in New York.
yeah,
Wow, really
that's
good deal.
pretty.
30 bucks. Maybe I should move to Oregon. I don't think RTP can
Food,
handle that.
food expenses, not a worry.
Well, maybe I should move to Oregon then. But this was exciting. This was good, and there it was. Wow, it looks really good. You got that's your 30 bucks. So you got here. This is your lobster. You got fries and you got a steak. Wow, it looks really
Absolutely,
good. Wow, I tell you
absolutely.
what. You know what? You're eating like a king. You want to be the king of BYW and the king of the West. Well, you're eating like one. I'll tell you that much. And yeah, I agree with Mama Comatose. And you got some photos, and we'll leave that at that. But yeah, we see the different people in the ring. Nice to see that. And I think that's, I've learned the last couple of weeks that that's to me what it's about. Savio Vega talked about a couple different things and people learning stuff in the ring. We talked with Godric Sandwell before you, the 9-hour travel, the friendships. We talked with Van Hansen on Tuesday. He talked about his experiences. Rhino certainly said a lot. And I think that that's what I'm getting here most is that we'll certainly see what happens here in a few months, but you made some friendships. And I think that that's the most important part. Wrestling should be more about bringing people together. I hear all the time. I know Yoshi Matsuda is here. He was talking about different things and this whole debate about one form of wrestling against another. Guy said this, guy said that. But what I see, and I'm here every day, and I'm the guy that talks to everybody from all around, I'm seeing people from all backgrounds, from all walks of life, from all different parts of the country, and they're having a good time. They're getting together. And I think that to me, that's what wrestling is about. Wrestling's the one sport to me that brings people together from all backgrounds. I speak with people from the UK. They're coming back on Monday. Obviously, the big names have been here, the backyard guys, the underground, the trampoline, the death match, the independent wrestlers, so on and so on. And I think what I all learned is that wrestling is the universal language. And that's what I take away most from what you guys in BTW had here in this experience.
Definitely, absolutely. You hit the head right on the nail. I definitely will never forget the experience that was January 1st through the 7th. Those were some of the fondest memories in my recent life for sure. Um, and just not, of course, you saw all the pictures meeting Jacob Wayne finally, as he
Yep.
was, a resident member of BTW, meeting Blaze for the first time ever, as people, as you can see, we're obviously on two opposite sides of the
Yeah.
line.
He's in the chat. He's in the chat. I know it. He's
Um,
in the chat.
but that, however, that is a dream match for a lot of people, and boy, not to spoil anything, but we delivered.
Well, I think that, listen, I'll say this much. Yeah, that is a match that I think a lot of people would like to see, you and Aaron Blaze. Obviously, I think personality wise, there's some similarities. I think, obviously, in terms of what you guys both want to accomplish in the yard, I think there's certainly very much a lot of similarities. I think, in terms of just where your careers could go, it may depend on who wins the particular match should these matches happen. So I think, yeah, a lot of people, and especially for you of late, having these wars with RJS, certainly going in there with BES, obviously Jacob Frost, being in there, Steven Storm, shout out to him. All these guys that are, been really reputable and big names, and guys that have been around a while and have had a lot of success. And if the opportunity presents itself where you and Aaron Blaze could have those matches in BTW, I most certainly think, well, I know we're going to talk about him here, but on top of that, I think for both of your guys' careers, where it goes in the future may depend on who wins that.
That is very, very true. And and I definitely have a lot. If I were to get into a match with Aaron, I definitely have a lot riding on the line with that for sure. But just as I did before I came to BTW and said I was going to prove that I am one of the very best backyard wrestlers out there, I did that and then some last year. So this year, I'm gonna hold true to all the statements that I make,
Right.
just like I did last year.
Let me ask you one more question before I get to the chat, because I know we have a big chat tonight and they want to talk to you. And I know that they've been waiting for a moment like this for a few days on Sportswire. But last year at this time, if I were to tell you on this date, right, January 23rd, 2025, that you'd be wrestling in a wrestling ring coming up here in a few months, you'll have wrestled some of the very biggest names in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. You would have won not one, not two, but three championships. You would have made lifelong friendships, and you would be one of these guys right now, the way everything has kind of happened in the backyard circuit, that you could very well be the best backyard wrestler at the moment. What would you have said to me?
A year ago,
Yeah.
I would have been baffled that I actually was able to accomplish finally what I've been trying to accomplish my entire career. I've been trying to accomplish my entire career just simply getting that respect of people like a CJ Black, like a Jack Delta, like a C Money, people like that. And I, thank goodness, have gotten, I believe, the respect of those peers and then some. And I honestly, I owe a lot to this community, and I thank everyone for going on this journey with me last year, and that's only the beginning.
I keep saying it. The best is yet to come. I know people say, "Oh, I'm an optimist," but I'm a believer in that. And listen, like I said, some of those names you mentioned, Jack Delta, unfortunately, he's not wrestling at the moment. So that would be a guy everybody would say, oh, he's number one. Jacob Frost is obviously doing some different things. We certainly wish him very well. I mean, certainly other names we've mentioned are no longer in the yard in the past, and C Money's now a different name, Chase Carter, and
Cash card.
CJ Black's obviously a name, Cash Carter, and CJ Black's obviously CJ Black, but the way it certainly could, depending on the way things go, you could be that guy. And I think that's why it's an exciting time to be with you, an exciting time to talk BTW. I know a lot of people here in the chat, so I'm going to get to it because I want to talk about your podcast. I want to talk about a couple of other things here. So let's go right to it because I know people are waiting. I got a big crowd here. Speaking of people that are first, it's Abram Storm. I was saying Abraham Storm for like 5 months, but I figured out it's Abram Storm because he actually told me on Instagram a few weeks ago, it's Abram. Well, now you told me, and I'm glad to say that. And thunderous Abram Storm, and he's got a lot going. A great show, Winterfest, CSW, killing it, and he's the first comment. So he's here. He's a rare first. A rare first. There you go. Speaking of
Hello, the
people, Zilla
Thunderous.
Zilla is in the house. Where Zilla's had an interesting last week. She's had her issues with Anthony Steele. Not going there with that, but she does say she loves, likes, respects, and appreciates you. Yep, we definitely agree.
So do
Thank you,
I.
Zilla. Good
Respect
to
you,
see you.
Zilla.
Good to see you again. Who else we got? Yep. We got Abram. Okay. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Skulls. We took care of that. Adam Ginsburg passed away at 42. Yep. Very sad news. We'll leave that at that. Thank you, Zilla. Thank you, Skulls. BSW Wrestling 3.0. What's up, Tom and Comatose? Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you are
What's
here,
up?
hit the like button and the sub button and tell us what's on your mind. Skulls is goals in 25. Well, it's Comatose who's the guest, but I'll ask Comatose if you want. And the man that you had on your podcast, I'm going to definitely talk about that here in a little while. And yes, what's up? How you doing, Blade? And we're going to definitely talk about the podcast in a little while. Yep, how we doing? Who else we got here? A lot of people are ready to talk. Yep. Speaking of people, Steven Storm, say his name like
You
Joe
bet.
Hendry, he appears, and he says, yo. And speaking of people that seem to be upset, but he's wearing his BTW shirt, so he's basically telling us the cat is out of the bed. We know he's going to be on this season, but Aaron Blaze says his mood for the day is ruined. Why? Dominic's not here. I mean, uh, I don't know what the issue would be. What's the issue? Your day is ruined. I mean,
Because he sees this beautiful face gracing
mm,
Sportswire Radio.
well, you haven't been here in a while. I mean, what can I
Mm,
say? I mean, we got to give everybody a chance. I mean, but thank you
of
for that,
course.
though. Yes. Hello there. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Darkron. Darkron, hope you're doing well. I want to give Darkron a nice little plug because he's literally like a subscriber or two away from 1,000 subs. And I want to put his YouTube channel up for a minute because Darkron has been so gracious, so supportive of us here. He's like 10 subscribers away, literally from 1,000. So if you're here right now and you haven't subscribed, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He has been knocking on the door for 1,000 subs for like the last month and a half. Hit his YouTube page, give him a sub. He's at 990. We got, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 people on YouTube right now. If there's one or two of you out there that haven't subbed to his channel, let's support those who support us. Darkron is the man that has hosted the last two summer bashes. He's a part of ROEW. He's a good friend to our community. He's a legend. And do me a favor, give the man a sub. And he's also a multi-time Hall of Famer. Thank you for that. Okay, let's see who else is in the chat. Boom. Yep. Speaking of people, I think this is RTG. He just says hello, though. He says hello. I'll see. I'll
Yes,
see
the
you.
dinosaur.
Well, the dinosaurs still roam the earth, I suppose. But
They do.
the go to Jacob. We'll find out. You're going to find out. Jacob Wayne is a man that certainly has a lot of history. You're going to find out coming up here in about 2 months. So hang on tight there. You don't give it away. Yes, the 10 bell salute. Definitely, we gave our thoughts and prayers. Absolutely, to Adam Ginsburg. Terrible, terrible news. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Rest in
Absolutely.
peace.
So okay, I don't know why Aaron Blaze wouldn't like Zilla's comment along with that, but this guy's got a comment in a minute I'm gonna get to. My buddy Ace Reed, of course, Ace Reed from Wrestling Zero and BWD. He's gonna be important in a minute. Yep, hello to Ace Reed. Now this is a guy I would love to see one day in Oregon, Mr. Judas the Evil Angel. Here
Evil
we go.
angel.
Excited to see what's going down in BTW. Same here. But now you're going to get some comments. All right. Now, from Ace Reed, say Comatose. If hypothetically I come to BTW on my U.S. tour, what are the chances of me and you stepping in the ring. So what would you want to say about that? What would be your opinion, objectively, about you and Ace Reed if the hardcore kid and you were to step foot in the ring, sir?
Of course, it's all up to the man, the myth, and the legend. Of course, the dinosaur that still roams, RTG, to make the match. Because unfortunately, sometimes he likes to stall these big matches that would obviously make him a lot of money for a while, just to drag it out. But if it were up to me, I would gladly 100% step in the ring with the hardcore kid in a BTW ring.
Well, I mean, we know a few months ago when you and Jacob Frost had a little bit of a skirmish here in this platform, and RTG kind of paused a little bit. But I think that RTG is a pretty smart guy. I'm going to give him a lot more credit than you would, because he certainly did pretty well for himself this past year in BTW. And I think
Definitely,
that,
to be
unlike
fair.
Jacob Frost, if Ace Reed's coming to America, to quote that famous movie with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, that if Ace Reed's coming here, RTG, he's going to make that match happen. He's gonna think quicker than a New York minute. I know Godric Sandwell tonight used quicker than a New York microsecond, but I'm going to give RTG that he'll do it in a New York minute. And I think that if Ace Reed comes to beautiful Roseburg, Oregon, in God's country, I think that match will happen. That's just my opinion.
I would
Right.
be more than ecstatic to get another big name down on my resume of people that I had the pleasure of stepping at the ring with. Win, lose, or draw, I know we would have a phenomenal match.
I agree with that. And Ace, like you, just stepped foot in a wrestling ring a few weeks ago. He wrestled a guy, Ace Shack, who a lot of backyard guys know and who certainly transitioned very nicely into the wrestling world. And he had a hell of a match, and he beat Ace Shack. In the Battle of the Aces, Ace won. And I'm pretty sure that if Ace Reed came to BTW, the hardcore kid, a man who's got 3 championships in his own, like you had 3 championships earlier this year, I think Ace Reed will give you a hell of a match. It'll be one of those matches we'll be talking about for a real long time. So I think that Ace Reed, he'll be able to hang in there. I don't know who's going to win. I can't say at this point who would win, because, well, I know you both, and if I do that, I'm going to certainly have my own issues, and we want to continue to keep the ball rolling here. But I'll tell you, it'll be a hell of a match. That's what I'll tell you.
Hell yeah, I completely agree. As a matter of fact, invitations always open, Ace. Invitations always
Well,
open,
he's coming to
Ryan.
America. He's
Absolutely,
coming.
always open.
He said it here twice, and I know he's going to be back here very soon. And I think that Ace, if he comes here, and BTW is at the top of his list, and I think that
And
BTW is at the top of the list of any company I would want to show up to. And
and as a
that,
matter of fact,
yep.
I think
What?
if I'm not gonna say I will because I respect BES, but if I can retain this championship and hold it long enough, I think it'd be interesting to see a true interpromotional title match such as that. That's more than just interpromotional, that's international.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. That's obvious why you're going to take over for me on Sportswire Radio. But that would be, look, a heck of an international match. You think about that possibility, right? He's the guy who's got 3 championships: the UPW, the BWDU, the Wrestling Zero championships. You got the BYW Interpromotional Championship. Should you hang on to it against BES? And that's an international affair. I mean, for all you know, you could take those titles. Should he hang on to those, or he could take your title and go overseas, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. The story writes itself.
It does indeed. It does indeed, and it's very, very enticing. I'm giddy to see what your future holds, Mr. Ace.
I think a lot of our futures are excited to have that in the plans. And yeah, we'll get more comments here. Judas, I think we got the point. Yesterday's guest here, Mr. Yoshi Matsuda, who was here, and obviously his career is coming to an end this weekend at the Backyard Wrestling Nexus, is breaking the chains. He'll be wrestling Jay Ryan, and we're all excited about that match. It'll take place this coming Saturday. And if you want to follow Wrestling Zero, of course, I'm a part of that. Definitely check out Wrestling Zero and all the great things it has to offer. We're going to put the YouTube channel up for it right now because I have it. There you go. Okay, boom, bada bing, bada boom. There's the YouTube channel. Hit the sub button for Wrestling Zero. You'd like to see more of it. You got some new stuff coming up, new programming, new content. And even though Mr. Matsuda might be exiting stage left, there's still a lot of Wrestling Zero stuff ahead to look forward to. So he says, you hope you're doing well. We agree. Okay. Yep. Zilla, we know you're friends with Judas. Yep. We appreciate Judas and we appreciate everybody here in the chat. Go sub to Wrestling Zero. Yep. Hello to Ace Reed. Hello to Yoshi. And Mr. Blaze now wants to go further and say how you can be evil and an angel at the same time. Just wondering, Judas. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe he's like the Jekyll and Hyde, right? Wasn't Jekyll and Hyde the story, right? You one side you were good, the other side you were
The other
bad.
side, you
Maybe
were bad. Yeah, he
you
could be
know.
just like that.
I'm bad every day, you know. So who knows? Yep. Thank you, Yoshi, for a great career. I was not going to miss this for the world. This is someone I respect beyond comprehension. Someone I highly value and appreciate. I completely echo those segments. We thank you, Yoshi, for basically taking the words right out of my mouth. Yep, I agree. We appreciate.
Very much so, and we and everyone definitely tune in for his last match in the yard, the
Yes.
legendary Yoshi Matsudu, for sure.
Absolutely, yes. We definitely want people to watch that, and I think a lot of people will. And that's Comatose's YouTube channel. I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. Still a lot more comments to get to. Yep, we're going to miss him very much. The Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm going to know this person. Well, you have to stay tuned. You have to stay tuned, Zilla. You'll find out. Don't you worry. Let's get to this though. When Comatose vs. Blade 3 happens, it needs to be title for title in a last man standing match. The legend, the GOAT Comatose versus the legend killer Blade. So, what's your thoughts on this? There, obviously, you spoke to Blade. He came on to your show on Sunday, one of 3 shows. You had a triple header there, but some strong words there.
Um, definite. We talked about this on that podcast as well, and I will echo the same verdict, the same exact thing that I said on that podcast. Blade, we're 1-1. If you want to put the FCW championship that you have not defended since BYW Mania 2, which was 6 years ago, versus me, the current GOAT of BYW, your inter-promotional champion, not just me, not just BTW's, I'm your inter-promotional champion, then I would definitely accept your last man standing challenge.
Well, you know what? That's something that I think there's a lot of unfinished business there for, and I think a lot of people will want to say that. Yep, BTW, hit the sub button for BTW. You'll have to find out. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Now we got some more comments that I think will certainly spice things up. The real GOAT of BTW is here because we all know you can't spell GOAT without the G, baby.
Baby.
RTG.
Oh Lord, the
Man's been
dinosaur is out
winning.
of
The man's been winning. He's been winning more than his San Francisco 49ers have been.
He has. He has. He went undefeated there for quite a while in that last season, and I will say his run was very, very impressive for someone that is up there in age like that. And I will have to say, I don't know who is a better Continental. Even, I've held the title, but I didn't do
Yep.
much with it, of course. I will say that. I'm the best television champion the company's ever had, hands down. But I will give RTG his props. He treats that title just as I treat this title,
Well,
like his
he's
title.
well, he's hanging on to his career. I mean, wouldn't
He
you
does.
be the same way? Wouldn't you want to?
I probably would for sure. Um, he just has other avenues he could go down. I'm very glad that he still has the gas in the chamber to be able to still do so and make that title so relevant.
Well, you know
But
what? I mean, there are some people that just keep going. I was watching
yeah, forever.
AEW.
That's true.
I
Ric
was
Flair.
watching AEW before I went on the air last night, and Jeff Jarrett's 57. He's out there. I mean, you have PCO and who's I don't know 59. What he does to his body, and so there's just certain people that just keep going out there. I mean, Rey
Forever.
Mysterio, and there's R-Truth, and we can keep going down the list. And I don't know if I'm going to put RTG in the same wrestling ability as those names, but watch BTW on YouTube and maybe you'll figure it out. But there you go. But yep. I want to say hello to Mr. Dalton Skull. Speaking of people, that would be very
Dalton Skull.
interesting going to Oregon. He's in the South. I don't know what the travel distance would be, but that would be an interesting
Another man I have
name.
respect for.
A name that has been here and a name that has a following and a lot of people like. And I'd be very fascinated to see that him and from our friends here in BCW done very well for themselves also the past several months. Speaking of a man you interviewed who definitely wouldn't miss this, a man that has been here too many times, and maybe you'll be interviewing him here on Sportswear after I retire and pass the baton off. But James Taylor is here for now. Mr. Matsuda. Yep, we love James. Glad to see the growth of BTW. I concur 100%. I definitely agree. And Aaron Blaze doesn't seem to be happy tonight. He's turning into Anthony Steele a little bit here right now on Sportswire. We're not going to go down that road, especially after the Zilla Anthony Steele thing. I've actually considered buying like a mute button now because I'm concerned about like certain shows. But we'll leave that at that. For crying out loud,
That's
RT,
funny.
not much of a G. Okay. James, you forgot to DM me about the video. I think they'll handle that off the air. Well, we'll keep the trampoline backyard wrestling alive since y'all got a ring. Well, you know what? We love the trampoline wrestling scene, and BCW does a pretty good
We
job
do.
on that. And BTW did a hell of a job representing. And Aaron Blaze represented with YBW. Congratulations to Aaron Blaze. 1,400 subscribers on YouTube. His 7th year in the ring anniversary, I think, is tomorrow, or it's just happened yesterday. And congratulations to him. And speaking of which, why are you even talking Aaron
Hey,
Blaze? Funny
hey,
one.
Aaron.
Freedom of speech. Yes, we do have a freedom of speech, as far as I know. I don't know if that'll continue in this world, but for now we do. Hello, Mr. I try to be funny. You never know. I don't know. But hello to RTG. How we doing? We're doing great. Sizzlers is good. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. Did we might have had a Sizzlers in Brooklyn, but it was like I don't want to say it was in a very bad neighborhood, and let's just put it that way. And so Sizzles was not a thing we went to. So did I
Nice.
guys miss something important? I mean, we're talking with Comatose. We're talking about his match coming up with BES. We're talking about his podcast. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. I'm going to talk about Baja Blast Mountain Dew, and we're talking about his goals and what he wants. So thank you for tuning in. You're not missing much on lobster. Yeah, I don't think I'm having lobster anytime soon. I'll let Comatose eat it for me.
Oh,
I'm good.
I'll,
I'm glad you're doing well, Zilla. Thank you very much. I'm not the only seafood fan. Nah, you know what? I listen. Most of my eating was pizza because you got to remember where I'm from. But
oh,
yep. Hello there.
yeah.
Yep. You missed Tom's introduction, KO. That's about it. Well, I mean,
Oh,
well, we'll see there. Not most of the time I only eat. The introduction, KO. Okay, get that. The only self-explanatory. Yes, thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that. Sizzlers look. Yeah, that would look good. That definitely did look good. I think people want to talk about that shrimp. Okay. But the difference is I'm a pro. I'm a legit martial artist. We're a fictional. Okay, I appreciate all that. But we got that on yesterday's show, and I thank you for that. And we'll move on. Yes, I agree with you, and we appreciate all people on all the platforms that they wrestle on. So yes, I don't want to turn that respectfully into a sermon, but I do appreciate everybody on the ring. I think we've made that clear here. If other people they want to say things, that's on them. But we appreciate everybody. We love Wrestling Zero here on this platform, and I'm a
oh
part of
yeah,
that, and I'm looking forward to that. Yep.
for sure.
I am absolutely ready for season 7, and I think a lot of people are. You got to go to Instagram, check it out. I don't know why I prefer crab over lobster. I know lobster tastes like crab. I don't even know what the difference is, so I don't even know what we're. I don't know what
Um,
is there a difference here? Or
so
like, what, missing something? Or what?
there kind of is a difference, and it really just depends on what species of crab you're talking about. That it would taste like lobster, and also the same with lobster, because of course not every lobster, not every crab is just
Yeah.
one species, and they're not from the same parts of the world, which is
Uh,
going to make them taste different.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know what? That's a really good analysis there. Thank you. On Sportswire, you get food analysis now in addition to wrestling talk. Yep. We like food. Well, season 7 will be in April. Go to BTW's Instagram page. In fact, I'm going to put it up here right now for you. Hit the follow button for them, Zilla. Get in touch with BTW. They're going to tell you all the great details. In the meantime, we got a really huge match coming up. BES versus Comatose, BYW Interpromotional Championship. That'll take place
Yes,
coming up this Monday.
huge
And you'll
match.
see BTW season will take place later this spring. So a lot of great stuff there. Hit the follow button for them on Instagram. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Aaron, for correcting that. It's going to be crazy. Yep. Oh, it's going to be crazy. And it's going to change the game. Speaking of people, my guest earlier today who's coming on here, how nice of him, Mr. Godric Samuel. This guy, he traveled 9 hours to wrestle not once, but twice, but 3 times in Tennessee. He's wrestling coming up this Saturday for our friends in Express Wrestling. and he's definitely going to be a part of a new era there. And he gives you salutation that he's back here. In fact, he's going to go into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He's going to be here February 24th, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So he's going to
Ooh.
be here for the Hall of Fame. Congratulations
A
to him
day
on
before
that.
my birthday. Heck yeah.
Happy
What
birthday.
a
We'll
week.
we'll try to bring you on for your birthday. There you go. We'll do that. I will promise you on that. Who else? We got a lot of people want to talk. Yep, Mr. Samuel, a pleasure. Yes, love Mr. Matsuda. Thank you, Mr. Matsuda, for all you do for us. Appreciate everybody here. Loving the energy. Want positive vibes only. I want positive vibes. We're going to keep the
Hmm.
positive vibes going. I want positives. Well, you're going to have to find out. He's a name that's been there before.
For sure.
I love your podcast. I'm going to talk about that when we get through the chat. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna move on. Thank you. Somebody's in character. I don't mind being on Comatose's podcast one day. We're gonna promote
For
that in a
sure.
few minutes. We're gonna definitely get there. I promise you. Yep, Mr. Matsuda definitely. Mr. Matsuda is he's done it all. Martial artist, drill artist, got a big hit single. He's doing movies now. I mean, this man just a true visionary. Yep, please follow the sub button for Darkron. Likewise, yep, thank you, Mr. Matsuda. Aaron, are you sure it's not Jacob, Ezekiel, Wayne, RTG? You got it. That's what I'm here for. We're here to support each other. Good. Okay, you made a good deal with Anthony Steele. We'll leave that at that. We want to move on from that. I forgot about that. Yeah, Jacob Wayne is gold. He is definitely gold. And stay tuned to BTW for more details. Tom, once in a while, that's me, but usually when I put my name. Okay, good enough. I was kind of wondering because I think at the beginning of the show, then it wasn't RTG. It was probably somebody else. We'll leave them. I think you'll know who they are, but there you go. Goat of BYW versus the Goat of CSW. Hey, you never know. Never say never. Never support James Taylor. James Taylor is probably going to be charging a copyright cost for that. But, there you go. Am I hearing it right? Yes, he's the hardcore kid Ace Reed. He's the BWDU Wrestling Zero, and he is also the UPW champion. Yes, I have Ace for this. He's got Ace, understandably so, and Mr. Matsuda would know he's wrestled Ace Reed a few times. So
And
there you
that
go.
and that and that is completely fine. Absolutely. I'm not even gonna say that I would wipe the floor with Mr. Ace because as obviously
Beautiful.
He just won Wrestler of the Year
Yep.
with BYW Hub. He's
Yep.
obviously world renowned, and he has much respect for me as well.
Absolutely. No question. No question about all that. No, listen, we completely agree with all those things here. We're going to go and let me get to some more comments because I will go. There you go. Okay, there you go. Let's go here. Yep. Okay, got that. Got that. Aaron got the reference. Who else we got here? Yep, I know who we're talking about. Yes, I do. Yep, I do. Thank you for that. Okay. The money match for BTW would be between Ace Reed and RJS, and then maybe BES, and then Comatose. You could flip Comatose and BES, though. Everyone wants a piece of RJS first for some reason. RTG, what is your thoughts on that?
That's actually not unfair to say, as
No,
RJS is
I agree.
he is the founding father of BTW. He is the
Yep,
man, the face of BTW. So that is not unfair to say in the slightest,
not at
and
all.
it's definitely and it's not even insulting. That is a very true statement. And as a man that's also been in the ring with RJS multiple times, shoot, that's why I came.
No, I agree. No, I think that, listen, I would like to see as many people wrestle as humanly possible. And that's up to management and the man right here. So in the meantime, hit the sub button for BTW. I want to continue to plug that. When is Ace coming to America month wise? Ace would like to answer that. Summertime. Well, certainly summertime will be wintertime for him. That's the plan. Speaking of people that want to travel, one of my buddies, he is the host of the High Chief Talks here on Sports by Radio. He's the Samoan Dragon. He's got his own problems with Anthony Steele. That is Mr. Il Drago. Drago's back
Much
on here.
respect to El Drago.
We're gonna have him on. I think he's here Sunday the 18th. I think we're here Sunday the 18th with Drago. No, Sunday is the 16th or the 17th. One of those days. But don't take it personal which date I got wrong. But it's a Sunday. It's the Sunday before the IMF show. He'll be in the house. But definitely he had another stream. We had some big streams, and El Drago was one of them here. Summer in the States or your summer for us, I believe. I believe summer with that. We'll go back here. More comments. Summer in the States. Thank you for that. Now that you phrase it that way, maybe that would be the money match. Comatose RTG. There you go. There you go. Okay, sweet. Well, somebody wants some money. Wrestling Zero. Plug, plug, plug. Long live the dragon. Yes, yes, we love the dragon. And Mr. Matsuda is definitely happy, and I'm happy. Yep, appreciate you. We appreciate everybody here. Yep, long live the island. Yes, FBW, Anthony Aries has a trampoline, YBW has a trampoline. There's a number of wonderful trampoline companies. BC, how about BYCW here? Dalton Skull. They have over 1,000 plus subs. So a lot of great trampoline
Trampoline
companies.
fans for sure.
BWBWDU. I mean, there's just a long list of companies. We got Maxwell Reed and BCW. Shout out to them. They almost hit 1,000 subs. They come here from time to time. In fact, I owe them an appearance in Sportswire.
Oh
So a
yeah.
lot of great trampoline wrestling companies, and we
And
respect them all. Yes.
and I will say this for all those trampoline companies, season 7 is for you guys.
Yes.
Season
Yes. I
season
agree.
7 is to prove that us trampoline guys can hang just as well as those guys that have only been doing it in a ring on camera this entire time.
Love it.
We're called Born to Wrestle for a reason.
That's it. I love it. Love it. Love it. And I think that a lot of people are going to be definitely rooting for you guys. We're rooting for you here. And you're going to see a lot of title defense with my return leading up to our match. Love it. It was yesterday, Tom, and thank you. Yes, 7 years and counting. Congratulations. And Mr. Blaze will be back on Sportswire soon. I would apologize to Mr. Blaze. We've only had on, a couple of people who might have took those spots up in Rhino and Savio Vega. So I do apologize if you've been trying to get onto Sportswire. I would like to say I'm sorry. We've had Rhino, James Fury, Stud Bronson, and Savio Vega in 2 weeks. So that might have been your spot. I will say it was your spot. Oh, sorry, but you're going to get on soon. Trust me. Yep, we love and appreciate Anthony Aries and FBW. Yes, they're closing in on 1,000 subs. Yep, he's the new U.S. champion. Let's give a follow to BTW on Instagram. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, Jacob Eric Wayne, not to be related with Bruce Wayne. I don't know if Comatose will drop. Well, we're going to talk about the podcast in a few minutes. We're going to talk about the pod in a minute. We're going to segue. Hang on tight. We're going to get to the pod. If you're here on Twitch, give me a follow. We are on Twitch. I don't really promote Twitch, but I'm on there. With all due respect to Ace Reed, I thought we were talking about a certain one in Texas. Well, that's what he calls himself, but I could talk about that too. Yep, 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 yep. Here we go. BTW's YouTube channel. Yep, you're welcome. Abram Storm is looking to travel to some different companies this year. I would like that. Would like that. Definitely frequent flyer miles. And Godric Samuel drove, he said, 11 to 1,200 miles to Pennsylvania from Tennessee. So maybe that's Abram Storm's future. Who knows? RTG would like to reiterate that money match comment was for when Comatose said the thing about his interpromotional championship against Ace Reed's international championships. For reference, RTG. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for those words there. All right. You know what? Since I see some people want to talk about, I see James was on the podcast. He's here. I know Blade was here. I know Chase Wakefield will eventually watch this because he tells me he watches everything. And Janie's probably telling him he has to not be on Sportswire right now. It's a joke. We're just kidding. It's probably true. But let's talk about the podcast for a few minutes. Obviously, you got a podcast, very successful. Saw some really good names on there. Obviously, names that are no strangers to this platform, and Blade, and certainly Mr. Wakefield and Mr. Taylor. I'm going to put the YouTube link up for it in a minute and talk about the podcast and how you like doing it so far.
Okay, so I do gotta say that one day that I had the triple header, I will just say right now has given me so much respect for you, and I will and I will say, ladies and gentlemen, if you think taking a beating in a ring for 7 days straight isn't anything compared to podcasting, when this man does triple, double, quadruple headers every day, if you think he's not equally as tired as us, then you are crazy. Because I was exhausted. I was exhausted after that.
Well, you know what you got to do? You got to pace yourself. It's like anything else, right? It's like riding a bike. So what you got to do is you got to pace yourself. So when you do the 2s and the 3s, you just got to, I would take 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. I would, try to use my day in a way that would exert my energy for the shows. So there's, you learn it. It's like anything else. It's my uncle always believed in repetition. So my advice, when you do the doubles and triples, when you take over for me on Sportswire, obviously, that'll prepare you. But it's just repetition. I think also you go with the people that you know. So it's not like you're sitting there and, you took a book report on somebody. So when you do those shows, you go with the ones that you know. So that way it's not like you're sitting and, crashing and almost trying to find all this information. That'd be my advice. That's my advice for any prospective podcaster. I see Aries has kind of done it. He's sort of doing some of it. I mean, so if my advice, Ace Reed did his show a while back. I mean, I know Aaron Blaze actually did a podcast a long time back as well. So my advice, Derek the Destroyer did his. So my advice for anybody that does is just pace yourself. And when you do those multiple shows, go with the people that you know, so that way it's not as much of almost a burden and such. But you do have some shows that I did
For
enjoy,
sure.
and I was in the chat for the first two of them, and definitely I'm excited.
Oh, I am ecstatic. For sure. I have quite a list of guests that are coming up for sure that I am definitely still trying to find the right dates to fit in, but
Did James
they're
Taylor asked to come back already? Is that what you want to tell me?
well, I mean, he's definitely probably will be asked,
He
will be
should.
one of them, but we
Yep.
got a few in the chat for sure. We got
Oh.
Mr.
Hmm.
Yoshimatsu at some point.
Oh, he would be quite an interview. What an interviewer he would
Absolutely.
be. There he is.
We
There
have
he is.
we have Mr. Anthony Aries at some point.
Okay. Yep.
I would not I would definitely have the Thunderous one on the podcast for sure. Um, and I also do have either this Friday or next Friday coming on the man himself who has actually been one of my inspirations in BYW. So I'm actually really excited for this one. CJ Black at some point
Wow.
will
Wow.
be coming
CJ
on the
Black, a
Comatose
seven-star
podcast.
superstar. Mr. Two-time seven-star superstar, Mr. Multi-time Hall of Famer, a guy who's returning to the ring in the IMF coming up here in a few weeks at the King of Palo show. It's his first time back in the IMF in a year. He'll be in the ring there next month, and that's exciting. And I mean, wow, you've got some really good guests. CJ Black is a phenomenal talent, and he doesn't do too many podcasts. I know he did Anthony's show, and usually when he's here on Sportswire, it's usually kind of what you see in ROEW, but he did a different interview. And I think it's kind of fascinating to see guys like that do shows that you normally wouldn't get on here just because, we have Rhino and Savio Vega here. So people, they want to see the rah, rah, rah. But, it's interesting to see fellow wrestlers interview other wrestlers. I think Anthony Aries interviewing some of the different guys, CJ Black included, your show. You've interviewed Wakefield, Blade. You interviewed some of the BCF guys you had on Mikey D in the podcast the week prior. Obviously, James Taylor. I think it's fascinating to see guys like you, which gives, I think, the audience a different perspective because it's one wrestler talking to another.
Absolutely, I would definitely agree. And with my podcast for sure, we're gonna go into what you got going on in your federation, what you're worried about, what you want people to have eyes on for sure. But along with that, we're gonna go deeper. We're gonna find out who you are as a person for sure. I like just learning about people and just talking to people in my personal life. It's one of my favorite things to do, to listen and learn about people. So that's what I want to try to do with this podcast for sure.
Has it made you, I don't know, watch these other guys differently, or is it making you look at
Actually,
things differently?
yes,
Yeah.
actually it has. At every single time that I have done a podcast with someone, it definitely gives me a different perspective on them because I even if I do know who they are, I still like to do my homework. I still like to study up a little bit just so things are a little more smooth on my end. Because sometimes I get caught up in my own head and I don't know where to go from one topic to another. So I definitely like to do my homework. I'll get little bullet points. Um, and
Yeah, I used to do
it's been
that when
really
I did
good.
when I did news. I did news years ago, and I did 7 months on a radio station. When I had interviewed some journalists. I interviewed here in New York. We had like the Nassau County executive at the time, and I remember like I did the bullet points. I spent like, it was funny, for a 20-minute interview. Had like 5 pages worth of notes, and what winds up happening in those interviews is like you talk about two of those 100 points. So I
Yeah,
used to do bullet points. I used to write the topics out, but I find it's kind of almost cumbersome, but it's interesting to hear that you talk about these things. And it's interesting also. I was listening to obviously the shows you did, the last four ones. And I think it's interesting to hear you talk and present your side of things, hear. who you are and talking to them. Because, I know people come here and they see me and the rah, rah, rah. But, on your show, you get a chance to maybe talk about people differently. I was hearing James talk about his life story. I'm hearing Wakefield talk about his past with crypto and working with Apple. And I think that's also interesting what I'm seeing also. And I'm sure with these other shows, whether it's CJ Black, Yoshimatsu Matsuda, Anthony Arias, we'll get a chance maybe to hear people in their real lives that, not to say that we don't do it here on Sportswire, but you probably will dive more into it because it's just, I just I don't dive into it as much. People want to see wrestling. I think that's just what I think.
Yeah,
But I think it's interesting to like hear, even though I knew those things about those people, but just to hear them in a different light. I thought that was really fascinating about the podcast.
for sure, for sure. Um, and for me, it really just for me doing it this way, it's just I don't know. It makes me feel more connected to the person. I feel as if it's gonna make the fans of that said wrestler or said manager or said personality. It's gonna make them connect to them a lot better. Um, and I say that because there isn't a whole lot of things out there in backyard wrestling where they're willing to show their true selves and their true colors. And I don't know. I really like, peeking behind the curtain a little bit. I'm a nosy guy sometimes. And it
No,
might,
I think people do want to hear that. I think there are
yeah,
listen. There are people. I think it's. I'll go with backyard, even though I know we do everything here now. But in
yeah, for
backyard,
sure.
there are people that I think they would like to know about people and who they are, what got them into the backyard circuit, and their own life experiences. No, I think that it's like anything else. I do think that it is relevant. I think that you should want to talk about whatever the way that you want to present it. I think that that's
For
what
sure.
makes your show really fascinating. And Anthony's got Smackyard Radio. I think that's fascinating. I know Aaron did his show years ago, although Aaron probably wants to kill me for mentioning that because that's a while ago. Ace did his show. I think Ace's show reminds me very much of yours. Ace, I don't know if you remember Ace's Wired Up podcast on Instagram, and he would get a lot of the guys on and he would talk. And I think we're actually watching you here now with James.
We
I figured
are
I'd put it on
indeed.
the screen. I figured, I'm not promoting myself. Let's promote you and your podcast. But I
I,
figured,
I, re- which I really appreciate. For a minute, it made me trip out for a minute because I was
you were
look,
like,
I was
oh
looking.
boy, what I do now, you were probably like, oh boy. But I figured, why not? I thought it would be funny for the chat to see your podcast. People probably like, why are you promoting somebody else's podcast? Well, I think Aries was like, I'm gonna beat you or something. And I'm like, yeah, you can do it. We just had Savio Vega and Rhino. I hope you go get
Yeah.
them too. But no, but no,
Well,
obviously,
oh yeah, no,
anybody
and
here.
I highly appreciate it for sure. As someone that is definitely trying to follow a little bit in your footsteps for sure when it
No,
comes to because
you know what?
I've always wanted to do it for sure.
I think you should. I think that it's a way. We're talking with Comatose, the BYW Interpromotional Champion. He'll be in action coming up here this Monday in BTW's upcoming show, special show. They'll have a match here come with BES for that championship. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally. We're all wrestling matters. Do me a favor, go hit the sub button for Comatose's YouTube channel. Also, check us out here on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 657. But no, I think it's people should do podcasts. I think if you want to present yourself, I think that why not? I think it's so easy. When I was growing up as a kid in Brooklyn, like I always wanted to do the radio. I was always like, I just was like to do this form of communications, like 20 years ago, like 25 years ago, it would have been like people would have been like, you would have had to have spent like 50 grand. You would have had to have a fancy radio connection. It would have been like no way to do it, but it's so easy now to really do this as a form of communication and get out there. And I think it's a positive. I think that everybody, if you can talk, and I think you always have a lot to say. And I think that there's a lot of people that I just think I would encourage people that they want to do something. I wholeheartedly support. And I get asked a lot. I have an internet radio station. I get asked from a lot of people who do podcasting, what would you do? How would you go about it? So I think it's great. I think people should present themselves. I just always think about when I was a kid, I always wanted to do the radio. I just didn't, Just we didn't have it, but years later we had the technology. And I always tell people I support anybody's decisions to go into it. And I think you got some really good guests coming on. You got Yoshimatsu Matsuda, if that's the case, a great guest, great talker. CJ Black, I think that's going to be your most fascinating interview, because CJ Black is a guy, I'll be curious how your podcast will go versus Aries is one, because CJ, like I said, when he comes here on Sportswire, it's, rah, rah, rah. I mean, I think that'll be fascinating. I'm sure Anthony Steele will want to come on. I mean, I don't have to ask. I'm sure he'll be coming on.
For
Uh,
sure.
Aaron Blaze, will he want to come on? I mean, that'd be fascinating. Il
That would
Drago's a
be
great
fascinating.
talker.
Oh,
There's a
that would be
couple.
awesome.
Well, he'll come on. Is it? I know. I will get you a couple of other big names. I just have to remember to do it. But we'll get you. You get a lot of people. But now you have to pay. So I mean, so let me ask you: do you want to do it every day, every week? So what's your like? You want to do it?
I would definitely be willing to do it every day for sure. It just I'm not gonna promise, of course, because I've
Okay.
had this problem. I've had this problem in the past where I'm gonna
It's
sit here
hard. I know it's
and
hard.
I'm gonna promise something, get people's hopes up. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that. I'm not gonna let anybody down. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be a consistent everyday thing, but
Sure.
I am definitely going to try to make this podcast way more consistent than it has been before. We
Yeah.
just
I
got
think.
we just got to episode 14 and it's been out for over a year. I mean, I definitely need to
Well,
pick
you're
it up again.
starting new. Listen, I mean, look, I would say don't put any pressure. You do it
Yeah.
once a week. Start small. In
Yeah.
life they take baby steps, and I think that
For
you're
sure.
gonna do really well with it. So whatever you want to do, you got my support. And listen, the best is yet to come. Let's get to some more comments here about some of this, and then we'll talk about a few other things.
Okay.
Oh yeah, nope, nope. No, we're good, Aaron. I think we're good. Yes, Derek the Destroyer did a podcast like this. He went a couple of years ago. He interviewed the IMF guys. He was in town because we know he does a lot of stuff with horse jockeying, and he actually interviewed Omen and Soldier. He went to Soldier's house. Derek was kind of like this platform in some ways. He had a podcast, and Derek definitely did it. But I think Derek had a different spin. I feel like Derek was different. I mean, he had some good stuff. His podcast was very good, but he just did a different spin. But
For sure.
well, let's not knock YBW. I think Aaron Blaze's company's got a good company too. Let's not
For
sell
sure.
anybody short. I'm okay, Zilla. Yes, let's support YBW, and we'll see if he takes the title back on Sunday against Dominic. Derek the Destroyer was one of the very best yarders, and he was in BTW, and he was very successful there. 8 o'clock, I will be there. I will be watching at 8. I don't think I'm on at 8, so yeah, I'm on at 9, so I'll be watching. Don't I'm gonna get mine back. Yep, invitation is out. All right, who else we got? A lot of people want to talk about this. I don't know why Zilla doesn't want a suggestion from
Hmm.
Aaron Blaze. Yeah, why don't you support YBW? Let's support them.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Matsuda and you and him. That'll be a lively interview. I think that's going to be, one of your most interesting ones.
For sure.
Okay, I got you. Comatose podcast is entertainment. Yeah, you know what? Do you want to take over? I'm going to retire tonight. You want to take over for me? I mean, don't worry
We'll
about
do
your.
it.
You want me to? I'll pass the
We'll
time.
do it. Yeah.
You want? I'll let you have it. You don't have to worry about your own. Everything's built in. You could take over for him. You might be the man to do it. I wanted to give the baton to Ace, and he was like, "Nah, I can't handle it." So I'll give it to you. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
we'll let you take over on Sportswire. Well, you have to find out. He's going to tell you. He's going to tell you, and he'll add me as a collaborator on Instagram, and I'll share it on my
Definitely.
Instagram page. Yes, but yeah, I was one of the people that listened to it, but I did listen to it. But yeah, I would say you think about it. Yes, I'll be there in the chat at 8. Derek had some big names. I think he had Jack Delta on there. He had some of the BTW guys. He had the CBW guys. Yeah, Derek was a different podcast than this one. Derek, I want to say that. But he did important things. I was gonna yes, and it's funny. He kind of thinks the same way I did about the podcast. Yeah, let's leave that at that. But yeah, okay. I mean, you have any goals with the podcast before I get to a funny topic? Before I get to a few final words here in touch, you have any goals with the podcast? Anybody
Um,
you want to as a dream guest or something like that? I don't
as
know.
a dream guest,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
I definitely okay. So if I'm gonna continue doing this for my entire career, whether I go yard, indie, or pro. But the
You
ultimate
should.
goal with the podcast is at some point, just like with my wrestling career, I want to get the man Punk on.
Why not? You know what? I just saw. You know what? I'm gonna tell you why you're gonna do it because well, Rhino and Vega came in, but I stumbled upon something on YouTube, and there was this guy. It was like Deco Loco Podcast. Someone look him up on Instagram. He had 1,000 subscribers, and he just had on his channel. He had on, which I don't know why, but he had Tessa Blanchard, but he had on Joe Hendry. He had Joe
Oh,
Hendry. So you know, if this guy's got 1,000 subs and his viewerships a little more than this, in the long form, but he had less followers on social media and he had Joe Hendry. I don't see why not. I really, don't sell yourself short. I mean, I
for
think
sure.
that there's a lot of these guys do podcasts. A lot of them do them. So yeah, I think you could get Punk. I mean, like I said, I just saw Joe Hendry do a podcast, and it was like, he had like 100 views, and like it was 100. He just did it. I mean, he's
Yeah,
a TNA champion. So yeah,
it's true.
I think that you could definitely get some of these guys to come on. I don't think that's to me any question that you could do it. I mean, I think that, why not? I feel
Yeah,
like
for
that,
sure.
you should definitely do it. And
Shoot
Aaron
for the
wanted
stars.
you know what? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And
Hmm.
we all know who's born to wrestle. Yeah, I got you in March, but I think I got you like in the end of March, right? We're at the end of March. Yeah, you're definitely back. I'm gonna definitely bring you back on. We're gonna definitely talk about that. Yeah, you said like middle March, right? Remind me in March again. But yeah, definitely got you back on. Definitely having you back on sports. I know Abram's a guy that definitely, wants to come on the show, and we're gonna bring Abram back. He wants to come on your show. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah,
yeah, you know what? And that's the other thing. Is speaking to people that would love to come on your podcast, although he has a Anthony Steele and Soldier
the
GP fan.
controversial one.
Yeah, he's the most controversial figure, but I'm sure he would be a great guest for your
Oh
podcast
yeah,
because you had James Taylor on, and I'm sure it's only right that you would bring him on to your podcast. But
me and
you know,
Anthony Steele would just feed off of each other. It would be wonderful.
yeah, and what the beauty about podcasting is that you could have on people from other wrestling backgrounds if that's something you wanted to do. And Anthony's already booking himself. See, I told you. When's my podcast date? Told you. Told
Oh,
it. When?
bet. Yeah, we will make it happen. I mean, I could do it any day after work for sure. Like Tom said, I'm definitely gonna pace myself a bit. I'm not gonna do like triple headers and stuff like that. Maybe just like one big guest like
Yeah,
a
I wouldn't.
day.
I wouldn't try to like just all of a sudden get like two or
Yeah,
three in a day. I would like
yeah, for
you know,
sure. Pace
it'll be a
myself
lot. It'll be a lot. I've been doing it for like 6 years, and I've been doing it at
Yeah,
this level for 4 years. So for me, I do one a day. I'm comfortable. I do two a day. I can handle it. My
for sure.
birthday's so we'll bring you on in the beginning of March. I'm happy to do it. So we'll definitely do that. Have your people get a hold of well,
For sure.
Anthony's here. Anthony's basically booked his date. And Anthony's gonna be back on Sportswire very soon. Although Anthony, I will remind you, no, let's certainly certain words let's leave out in the next segment you have on, and let's leave Zilla alone. Let's leave Zilla alone, and we'll bring you back on sometime next weekend. Yeah, and there we go. Boy, we don't need World War III here, especially after having Rhino and Savio Vega here. And tomorrow, another big name coming on to Sportswire. So let's leave that at that. I would be interested in the Rifle Club coming on. Yeah, we could do something with that in the next few weeks. You Rifle Club together. I'm interested in that. Do we follow each other, Blade, on Instagram? Remind me if we follow each other. I don't know if we follow each other, but yeah.
He may follow you because he does look at all my tag posts, but if not, I
Right.
can definitely connect you
Yeah,
two.
definitely. I'm open, very open to that. Yeah, we could do Rifle Club. Give me something different. Yeah. I don't know if I'm bringing Gunshot on you on at the same time. I mean, I appreciate Gunshot for listening to the platform, but I'm gonna leave Gunshot. He's doing promo wrestling these days. I know he was on yours, but I'm gonna certainly say that I'll bring Abram Storm on, and stay tuned for Gunshot one day. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I definitely if you follow me on Instagram, send me a message and we'll do a group chat. We'll book a date. How about that? Who else here? Um, or else me and the house will have to make a trip to come into that new ring and make Comatose get put into a coma. I think he's basically okay. Anthony, I think we're gonna bring Anthony on your podcast. I think
Yeah.
Anthony, I promise you, Anthony, you're gonna be on Sportswire soon. But as I stated, considering the big names that have been on here, we really no Zilla talk, and no certain things. But yeah, we want Anthony on here. He built the platform. We definitely want Anthony here. And Anthony pulled double duty, by the way, at the most recent IMF show. He wrestled against Mr. Brightside, and then he was in the main event. So Anthony's pulling double duty. But I'm curious on where's the Anthony Steele photo? I want to see an Anthony Steele photo. There's no Anthony
Yeah,
Steele.
I know it's just
It's
too.
supposed
It's
to
just
be
a
being
picture.
Justin Parsley. What is there a reason that it's where's the Anthony Steele photo? I was
That's
almost
what's been
thinking,
making me
is that
laugh.
Justin Parsley talking as Anthony Steele? And I don't even want to go there. Okay, Zilla says she's good with Anthony Steele. Great. March is a low key chill month. It is kind of in the world of low key chill month. Speaking of things before we sign off here, I mean, so tell me Baja Blast. What was the inspiration in Baja Blast? Tell me how you got into this drink and why.
And why? Okay, so I got into Baja Blast, of course, because it was a Taco Bell exclusive. I'm not really into Taco Bell, but I will go there and usually get the same thing, which would be three Locos Doritos tacos with I'd usually try to get 10 of the cinnamon bun delights and then a Baja Blast. And when they started putting Baja Blast in individual bottles that you could just buy at the store, I went
Mhm.
ecstatic because I'm not a huge like soda drinker anymore. I'm really just a tea, coffee, and milk
Okay, I
guy.
do drink way too much soda because I'm always tired. Oh, just for the
No, no,
chat.
but that does make sense for sure. I just with me the caffeine and the energy drink stuff that just messes with my heart too much.
Sure.
I do like Baja Blast and I will continue to drink that. But other than that, I just try to keep it to like milk, tea, and water. So Baja has a special place in my heart and always will.
I didn't know that Baja Blast started from Taco Bell. I did not know that.
Absolutely.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, right on the bottle, if you look, Taco Bell original.
Oh, you know what? I am such a dunce because I'm looking at this bottle now. I don't know if the chat can see it, and yeah, it says somewhere. I don't know where you see. Yeah, Taco Bell original. Yeah, Taco Bell original. I did not. You know what? I bought this thing 3 times in 2 weeks, and I didn't shoot. I didn't even realize it was a Taco Bell original. I just
No, that's all.
I,
That's completely all fine. That is
I
completely
didn't
all
know. I
good.
was wild. I didn't know that. I was like, I just thought, okay, you mentioned it, and I was like, I'm gonna try this thing. I was kind of like nervous because I only like the regular. I do like Mountain Dew. I did have the Pitch Black Mountain Dew last year, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this drink. I'm gonna actually try it, and it's pretty good. I was like, I didn't know. I didn't have much expectations.
Yeah, that would which for most people when they go into it, that's the same mindset that they would
Yeah.
have. It's basically a Sprite with a little tang of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, you know what? I could see that a little bit, and I did like Sprite. I'm okay with Sprite. Although I remember as a kid, I would get Sprite in a can of Sprite. I always got a can. It was a little. When I played sports, it was a food city, and we go into the vending machine. I would buy Sprite, but I mean, this is a really good drink. Yeah,
I
I gotta
appreciate it.
say, it was really good. Yeah, it was like, all right. I didn't realize it was. I learned something new. This was a Taco Bell original. I didn't even know. I went into Taco Bell last week, but I don't really eat Taco Bell. But I like the nacho fries. I have to admit, I do like the nacho
Ooh,
fries. I'm a fan of the nacho fries,
for sure.
and I got to get nacho fries in a Baja Blast there. All right, well, let me get to some more comments here before we move on here. Okay, yeah, we got that. March. Okay, who else we got? I got a lot more. Oh, there we go. I think he's here just to say hello. He's the IMF World Champion, Omen Black, the hardcore god, the boogeyman of the Midwest from the House of Wolves, and he certainly made Felix Jones howl after defeating him in the main event. But I think he's just here to say hello. I think it's just a hello here because we're certainly. I had Baja Blast, and for what it is, Jason. Okay. And he believes Comatose knows how to do business. Yeah, I think Comatose knows how to do business, and he
Oh yeah,
loves trolling. I don't know who Gary is, but I know who Justin Parsley is, and I can understand that. The picture's the ultimate troll. I don't know who Gary. Who I don't know anybody named Gary. Although actually, as a kid, there was a butcher named Gary. And you're a butcher, ironically, which is my last thing for the show. We're gonna end with that. But March's non-existence. I don't know about that. I think I always think March is an important month. Hello to Omen Black. Yeah, Baja Blast. I gotta tell you, that was a surprisingly good drink. It was really.
yeah.
I just didn't realize that. Yep, you know how to make me think. You know where I'll be in March. Hopefully. But I get it now. Okay, TikTok. Anthony Steele. I don't know what Anthony Steele thinks about those comments. 20. Okay, Aaron Blaze in promotions. Okay, yeah, I know where he's going. Okay. But just letting the house know when I go on Comatose's podcast, the entire house is welcome. So that would mean that would potentially be now. Can you handle that? Now on Sportswire, guys come on here and I'm all right with it. I just would tell him, Ryan, I'll call Rhino and Savio Vega, and maybe we'll have a fun chat, and then the guys will, I'm sure, have a great time. But I like to joke, and hopefully the jokes are on me. But no, all kidding aside here, when these House of Wolves, it could be Omen Black with Anthony, it could be Ox McCoy, could be Jason Myers, Jordan Nets. You all right with that? Or is that
Oh,
just do it, Anthony?
I'm completely all right with that for sure. If there is one guy that you're going to hop on a podcast with that isn't going to be intimidated by the House of Wolves, you're looking at him. And
Wow.
I am more than willing to take on the challenge of interviewing every single one of you all at once in the same
You sure? You
podcast.
sure you want to do that? You sure? I mean, interviewing it's so hard. You sure you want to do that with those guys? I mean, you sure?
I feel as if that would be entertainment gold, regardless if it went successful or not. So, like Mr. Steele did just say, that would be good for business.
No, I mean it would be good for business. I mean, I will definitely agree with you on that. But I mean, all right. Well, I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, you got
I mean,
Anthony.
I'm up for it for sure. I mean, let's see what we can do.
Well, that's Anthony's here. I mean, and Omen's here, and those would be the guys who would probably be coming on the podcast. I don't. I mean, as much as I love Ox dearly, Ox will let Anthony and Omen do a lot of the talk. He
For
might
sure.
show up, but that it would certainly get you some ratings. Yeah, that's for sure.
I have
Taco.
much respect for both of those men, so it would
Yeah,
be
I
awesome.
think I would say that if you're going on that note, yeah, I would say that would be a good idea. Root beer. I never drank root beer, and here's the reason why. And people are gonna now. I think Anthony's still Omen Black. They're gonna want to pulverize me. They're gonna do that if they're root beer fans. But root
Oh,
beer
really?
for me smelled like toothpaste. I don't know what root beer. It was what was it? A&W, right? A&W had it was Barks and A&W, and I remember like one time I tried root beer and it was like toothpaste. It just smelled like toothpaste. I was like, all right, I'm good. I ain't having it. That's it. All right. Nope. Good.
I'm not.
I
I'm not
was
the hugest fan of root beer myself either. Honestly, I almost agree with your take on that. It is a weird sweet flavor for sure, with the smell as well.
yeah, it's just not not
Cup of
really my
tea.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
But what else we got here? Root beer smacks. Yeah, definitely it does smack. Let's see. Baja Blast, yeah, it's really good. Baja Blast, it's too sweet. A&W is only good for root beer floats. Okay, yeah, there was a place that had A&W root beer floats. All right, let me get to a couple things here real quick before we get ready to sign the show off here first. Let me
Absolutely.
first. I do want to play your video, most recent video. I want to put that up here for a few minutes, promote that, give you a little bit of promotion. Fanta is a good alternative. Yes, I agree with you about Fanta. Don't know much about root beer mugs, but tell us about your video experience here from July to December, real quick.
So from July to December, that's when things really started to pick up in my not only my personal life, but with my wrestling life as well. As you saw in the thumbnail of that video, me
Yep.
standing in front of the old era BTW curtain with the three titles. That was the time period that I became a triple champion, got the respect of the yard back that I so desperately desired. And of course, I'm living great here in my personal life right now. I'm cooking some sautés on a grill and making an avocado salad because I like eating well for sure. I don't
You
like
got a
eating a whole
George
bunch of
Foreman machine. You got the George grill.
performance.
My mother. Yep, I remember when I was a kid, when we didn't have a backyard in Brooklyn, my mother would cook on the George Foreman grill, which she
Absolutely.
loved. Yep, she would cook on the George Foreman grill, and you got the George Foreman grill. But you know which was funny was Hulk Hogan passed up on that idea instead of maybe considering some of his racist comments in the past. Maybe he should have went on the grill instead, not to go down that road. Boy, people are going to be like, no, 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 but he did pass up on that, and we got the George Foreman grill instead. But
And
hey, what you gonna do? You enjoyed it, right? But yeah, it
oh,
looks
for
good,
sure.
and
For
I
sure.
know.
And definitely, I would have to say this video. Of course, I didn't catch every one of the moments that meant the most to me, but this time period in my life is honestly definitely the best time period in my recent memory for sure. So, I was very happy that I could show everybody the progress all the way from January all the way to the end of December for sure. And now just got to do it again next year. I
Well,
love showing people stuff like this.
Sean Jovi does kind of the same thing with his vlog. He'll show where he's in the IMF show, and he'll talk about where he is, and he'll show like people behind the scenes, and really cool. And you have RTG here, not dinosaur like, and you guys are filming different stuff, and there he is, and there you are, and you got
Absolutely.
your beanie cap on, and you're
Yes.
obviously enjoying yourself and having a
For sure.
great time. And I
Oh yeah.
always like seeing that. I like seeing people happy, and I see that that's what I take away most from BTW and people that are here tonight. And you're here, and you're on. I guess you're on a bus somewhere,
On a
right? You're at a.
bus. That was a very long bus ride from Portland all the way to Boise.
That reminds
That
me of
was
the song my parents wrote when I was a kid. It was on a bus to nowhere. They were on a bus to nowhere. It was like, we're on a bus to nowhere. I'm sure.
where
Yeah, my
that's
mother was
that's
not
awesome.
listening to this, but yeah, she really they wrote a song called "I'm on a Bus to Nowhere," and you were on a long bus ride that you were going somewhere, but it felt like it was going nowhere,
For sure.
and that's kind of cool stuff. I should probably do more vlogging, but I'm here every night, so it's kind of like the same thing. I don't need to do it. I'm here on Sportswire every day, but
Yeah.
it's cool. I thought the end of the show was really the most fascinating when they show you, at work. I thought that was really. We're gonna get to that in a minute. I thought that was the most,
At work.
fascinating. Yeah, I thought that was kind
Yeah.
of cool. You and the butcher, and on the job. I like that. I don't know why.
For sure. I like it too, just simply because it really shows that it really shows a side of me that explains a lot that goes into my character for sure. And that's why I like putting stuff out there like that. Not only that, but I just think it's such a cool trade, and I wish, not to promote butching or anything, but I really wish people would take interest in it, because it is a dying trade, and there is going to be
It
that
is
one.
actually. You know what's funny? You said that is when I was a kid. My father was friends with somebody, and he was a drummer, but he was a butcher. And he got into the job via his father. He got it at an early age. He didn't even go to college. He worked in a butcher in a supermarket. He got the job, and he must have retired from it now. He's got to be 60. It was like 20 years ago. I had to put him at what, 40, and he made a living, and his kids worked in the supermarket too, and he was a butcher. That's what his job was, with the white jacket on, and yeah, I mean,
And
like,
everything, cutting up the meats
yeah,
for
he had
everybody.
the job and union benefits, and
Mhm.
he made a living. He had a good paying job. He did well for himself, and yeah, I mean, it was like he had it was a really good job. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah. And union benefits. That
yeah.
I don't even have that where I
Well, New
work. That's
York is like,
immaculate.
New York is, a different animal, but it literally,
For sure.
literally, but no, his job was great. He had like, he was really did well for himself, and and my dad's moral of the story is that we, didn't have the job we didn't have jobs with benefits, but we worked hard, and I think I did okay in a different way. But you're here, and it's an important job too. It's an important job that a lot of people don't realize the importance of, and I think it's an important step to show people who you are. And I think people have to live, and I think it's always important to show. And I appreciate people that are hunters and gatherers and butchers, because without you guys, a lot of people would not eat. I always do take that route. I do appreciate what you guys do, really.
I really do appreciate hearing that for sure. Definitely, because of course, not to like down the mood or anything, but the world's in a scary place right now, and those people
Absolutely.
are going to be very important at some point or another.
Yeah, well, we had here in New York, there was actually a duck farm there was a big something happened, and the ducks died. It was really like they were growing food, and it was a story here on Long Island. It was just a terrible situation. And yeah,
That's
it's
scary.
very important. Yeah, very sad. But okay, I'm gonna take this off the screen. Get one more
Okay.
thing out of you. BTW. Yep, I agree with that. That's what we're trying to do on Sportswire. If you want to check out Comatose's YouTube channel, I do want to give it a big plug one more time. I got a lot of people here tonight. We appreciate the support. Hit the sub button for Comatose. I would really, really appreciate it. Let's get him to 1,000 subs. If he
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
want to take over for me, give him all those subs. We'd appreciate that. All right, you got any final words for BES coming up here before Monday?
For BES on the 27th of January, I have a lot to prove against you. Last season, you did immaculate. as my debut into BTW, my first run-in with anybody was you, and now in 2025, my first run-in in BTW once again is going to be you. However, like you said, the first time that we met, you outsmarted me. You outsmarted me that first time, and the second time, and the third time. But at some point, I have to prove that there is not just insanity in my brain trying to replicate the same situation. I will show you that there is progress made, and I am going to defeat you 1, 2, 3 for my interpromotional championship and cement myself as the GOAT of BTW and BYW.
Boy, I cannot wait to watch this match. It's going to take place this Monday. It's going to be BES, the coolest guy in the yard, against our guest here tonight, Comatose, the BYW Interpromotional Champion. BTW 8136 on YouTube. Hit that sub button for them. We're going to have more coverage post the show. And Comatose, I know we're going to end the show, but there is somebody here that wants to say something real quick, and I'm going to bring him on this. But I don't have to bring him on. If you want, I'll change the mind.
Bring them on.
I'm going to do it. I want to know though. I want to promise. No Zilla comment. No,
I was not expecting that.
A friendly few minutes here because we are getting to run the show off, and my voice does hurt. But Anthony Steele, you obviously want to get booked on Comatose's show. Is there anything else that you want to say? Sans nothing on Zilla. Sans nothing on Zilla.
Me and Zilla are cool. We're on a good little run now. But
yeah, well, until next thing she says. Yes.
Comatose.
The controversial one.
Well, it was good. My favorite residential hobo. Hi.
Residential.
So, how you been, boss?
I've been really, really well. I've been really, really well, just bumping, doing podcast, feeding my town, the usual. How are you doing, Mr. Steele?
Oh, I'm doing all right. You gotta get my head back in the game. I let my
It was
emotions...
scary for you to see Nolan McDermott, by the way, on Joby's vlog, right? It was obviously scary. It was scary for you. Yeah.
No. More like highly disappointed.
Well, he's not up past his bedtime right now. This is his curfew, so he's not here.
See, here's the thing. When I first walked in the door, all I hear is, "Hey, guess who's trying to do the South of Heaven?" Which is the move that I do. And I was like, "Who?" And they pointed to the ring, and guess who's standing in the middle of the ring? Nolan.
Oh my God!
Kobe's vlog certainly. We saw
and
that surreal moment.
I'm like, bro, you try so hard to be me. You try so hard to be me, but you can't come anywhere close.
How about he was getting almost the jeers from the people in Iowa. I don't know if he's coming back after that.
He came in a little too cocky, and we got to knock him down a couple steps.
All right. Well, you got Comatose here. What's on your mind?
Like I said beforehand, have your people get a hold of my people. We can arrange for Anthony Steele to appear on your podcast. We can arrange for the house to appear on your podcast. Just trying to make you a little bit more famous. Now. I'm always here about helping the community. How can I help? How can I do another Make-A-Wish Foundation?
No, Comatose is like Comatose is a draw. I mean, that's if you were to go on other podcasts, okay, maybe I would understand that, but this is not Make-A-Wish.
You said he's a draw. I mean, we're not talking about the little, piece of cardboard that he
I know
wrote
you're talking
on to stand outside the convenience store last week.
Comatose he's a very accomplished wrestler. He's a very accomplished podcaster. I mean,
I understand. There's something about you, boss.
Something that kind of pisses you off a little bit.
It's not really pissing me off.
Maybe it's the immaculate mic skills. Maybe it's the fact that I actually can wrestle. I don't know.
No. It's more along the fact of, you kind of look like a homeless Bad Bunny, and
wow, that's a new one.
I look at it, and to hear you say that you can basically wrestle better than me, that
Oh, I
I mean,
didn't say that.
you
I just said I can actually wrestle.
He said he
oh,
can wrestle.
I mean, if you're talking about some of my opponents, that's yeah, you're right. Some of my opponents
No,
recently,
I'm just talking about how you're trying to diminish my name as if I'm not a draw. Like last year, I wasn't the breakout star of BYW. Like I didn't make BTW take over the whole
mm,
circuit. Like I wasn't the one drawing all the eyes in the community
Would you
towards
like to
me.
come to BTW? All right, Anthony, would you like to go to BTW?
from what I've heard, you try to bring in talent that don't need to be anywhere near you. I mean, like you just didn't you just bring Aaron Blaze, or isn't Aaron Blaze
Yeah.
coming?
Yes.
Well,
Oh
you can go too
damn,
now. Well, they just extended
dude,
you an
that's like it's like Silverwolf hiring Loose Cannon to help him train for wrestling.
No,
Like,
Anthony, they just
but
invited you to come to their company. I mean, would you like?
but
They're
like
actually offering it to
I
you.
mean, if you guys want the real deal to grace your ring, I would love to do that. You
They
know,
just invited you. How about arranging coming to BTW? They just
I would love
extended
it.
you an invite. They
I,
extended you an invite. They
I
gave it
mean,
to you.
like I said, I'm a businessman. I'm a very good businessman. Have your people contact my people, and we can arrange something to hopefully transpire. There's a lot of places that I want to go in 2025 and wrestle. There's a little company in Michigan that I'm hoping to go and make an appearance for.
I know you want to go to Rhino's company. Yes, I know
Um,
that you want to go to Rhino.
there's a little pencil neck pipsqueak over in the Maryland and Philadelphia area. The fucking what's his name? Chase Bakersfield or Baker
Chase
Mayfield. I
Wakefield,
don't
he's
know.
having a wedding invitational. He's
Um,
getting married. What
you know,
Anthony, we said this was going to
those
be a nice, friendly
the,
appearance on Sportswire.
Big
the,
event.
and then
Big event.
and then
We
and
just
then
had Rhino and Savio Vega and another big name tomorrow. Here you are demeaning a man who's getting married. I mean,
I
he
mean
wants to invite you to his
I mean
wedding.
I,
And
I, I, under, I understand like his greatest accomplishment is about to happen. Man. I'm so
yeah,
happy. I'm so happy that someone finally wants to spend the rest of their life with him. But it's
well, what's wrong with that?
because we all know that we all know a title belt ain't going to spend the rest of his life with him. So
He
we
doesn't
we
have any title belts, obviously. Yes, I know he's got
exactly
no belts.
thank you for proving my point, Tom. Thank
He
you.
hasn't won a match in like
Um,
since I don't know George Bush was president. I don't know.
I'd put it back before Abe Lincoln got shot.
Well,
So
some of us weren't alive by then.
so and
I know RTG was.
No,
thinking about it,
probably.
coming to Oregon
Yes, Oregon.
to BTW.
Yes.
See, there's only one reason why I'd come to BTW,
Okay. Why is that?
and that's to face the man on the screen.
Well, they would like to have you.
And I'll
Do you hear that, Aaron?
They want to have you.
hey, the only way you're going to get Anthony Steele versus Aaron Blaze is if you fly me Southwest. I'm sorry. I only fly Southwest.
I
Um,
don't know anything about that in terms of the distance. You'd have to ask those individuals in that company to figure that out. I
I'm just
wouldn't.
saying, I only fly Southwest and I only perform in a real ring.
Oh.
So,
Well, they have
so
a
which
ring.
I which I
Well,
would, which I would. Congrats,
we
yeah,
have a real ring, and
congratulations.
I honestly, could you imagine the headline: "The King of the West versus the Real Deal"?
No, it'd
Anthony
be
Steele versus Comatose.
it'd be the King of the West versus the King of the Midwest because I've proved for the last 8 years that I can be a bigger headline than Aaron Blaze, that I can be a better destroyer than Jack Delta, and there ain't no
Oh, it's
boogeyman.
Derek the Destroyer who was there. Derek.
There ain't no boogeyman. There ain't no popular monster, and there ain't no real one that
But
can
you're
stop
friends with
anything that I
you're
do.
friends with the boogeyman though. You're friends with him now.
Hey, that just because we run with each other doesn't mean that we know where our placement is.
But you're friends.
Ooh, controversial.
Anthony, certainly we want to obviously extend you an invite to BTW, and that'll be great. I would love to see you in BTW, and a lot of people would love to see you in Comatose. Yeah, that'd be a great match. I mean, let's make it happen.
I'm down. Like I said, have your people contact my people, and we can get something arranged. And hopefully
The good news is
in
for you, Anthony, you
2025.
don't have to contact your people here. You just come here.
You're right. You're right. Hey, look,
You just come here.
it's kind of like a
Just come
thing where it's
here.
like,
You just come
hey,
in. It's almost like the door is open. You come in. It's like, when somebody comes through the house. Yeah, all right, just
yeah,
come in the door.
until controversial things happen, and then I'm like the Grinch because I'm gonna steal everybody's Christmas
Well,
presents.
Anthony, we
Uh,
want to have a great
Everybody's
Christmas.
candy
Christmas hasn't
canes.
even come yet. We just want to enjoy the show.
hey, look, new year, new me, right? New year, new
Yeah,
me.
I mean, it's been
I'm
new. I
at the
mean,
point. I'm at the
you're
point in my
winning.
career where I don't care about anyone else. I don't care about the fans. I don't care about the other talents. All I care about is me and my boys.
Yeah,
Me and the house. That's all I care about. And the United States Championship that I have still sitting around my
you
waist.
do. And Mr. Brightside didn't win that. He only won a non-title match, but he didn't win a title
So
match.
from what I've been told, is because of that dumbass fucking ref putting his hands on me, Brightside has now earned an opportunity to face me for my championship.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about it.
So
We're gonna definitely talk about this on Sportswire.
so
I think
listen,
next week.
the ref got one up on me. Brightside got one up on me. I'm happy that Brightside finally got his 15 minutes of fame and got someone to actually cheer for him. He's so fruity that someone brought a pack of Skittles on a fucking sign in the audience.
Well, thank you for the fruitiness. We appreciate the talk, but
But
yes.
the matter of the fact is if it wasn't for that referee, I was beating the dog shit out of him in that corner, and I was looking for the end. I was looking to put down Brightside because every single thing that man did, he couldn't put me down. He had to cheat, roll me up, and hold the ropes. Wow, from the way it looked to me, that was quite of a fast count from that ref. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know what? We're going to find that out. We're going to certainly see. Anthony will be back on Sportswire, I think, next weekend. We'll certainly, I'm sure, have a lot to talk about on next weekend's show with Anthony. And Comatose, do you want to have anything else, any final words, anything else you want to say here before we end the show? And Anthony Steele has apparently had a door opened for him potentially in BTW. And this could be a topic on your podcast with Anthony Steele should he get booked on your podcast.
For sure. And I would absolutely love to have Anthony Steele in the house on the Comatose podcast. That would be one hell of a spectacle on my channel, and for sure we would have one hell of a good time.
Better than
But I
James
will
Taylor. I'll let you know that.
better. I kind of figured that one was coming for sure. I kind of
I'm
figured
sorry.
that.
At least you got someone that's original, not a Stone Cold Triple H ripoff.
Well, we had
Fair.
Savio Vega who wrestled Stone Cold, just so you
That
know.
Yeah,
is true.
that's the closest to real that you're going to get when it comes to anything about Stone Cold.
I'll let
So
Mr. Vega know. I'll email him that Anthony Steele said that that he actually wrestled Stone Cold and James Taylor is not. I'll let Savio know. I'll tell him. I'll tell him
thank
that.
you. Soldier GP has a better stunner, anyways. James Taylor.
For sure.
I'll let Vega know.
But
So
Mr. Controversial One, I am very excited to see you on the Comatose podcast. Of course, we're going to get into contact, definitely, like he said. But what I'm more excited for is for you to finally make your way to BTW and see what it's like out in the West. Because Mr. Anthony Steele, you are running through a gauntlet of East competitors that is very, very worthy. Very,
Midwest,
very
Midwest, Midwest.
Midwest, correct? Yep, Midwest for sure. A lot of Eastern competitors coming there, yes, but Midwest. And that is fine. But when you come to BTW, I do want you to understand that there isn't anywhere to run. There is no other company to go to. There is no other little pond for the big fish to jump around in. BTW is the ocean of the West. And buddy, you're looking at the king of that ocean. So, if you want to come down in between those ropes in Roseburg, Oregon, in God's country, and you want to put on a spectacle, well, there's nothing more that is worthy of the title, the real deal, than that.
Well, I'll tell you what a show tonight on Sportswire Radio. Comatose has certainly said a lot. He's got a big match coming up this Monday against BES, and Anthony Steele could be coming to his podcast. It could be episode 15, 16, 17. I don't know what number it is. And Anthony Steele is certainly coming out swinging against everybody, and he's taking names. And if it what he wants that he gets, well, maybe he's showing up in Oregon, and this could certainly be quite an opening of a door, to say the least. An olive branch has been extended, and I don't think they have olive branches in Oregon, but Sizzler sounds like they have, and I'm sure Anthony Steele will have a good time at Sizzler. And Comatose and Anthony Steele might be a bigger match than Aaron Blaze and Comatose. If that happens, I'll let the world decide on that. But quite a show tonight. Fellas, we'll definitely see you soon. Anthony, I guess next weekend we'll see you back in your usual spot. I'm sure we'll have something to talk about, but I'll certainly say that we'll keep it as much PC as possible. And Comatose, congratulations on the podcast. Looking forward to the match here coming up with BES. I'll be watching. I'll be in the chat. Hit the sub button for Comatose on YouTube, BTW, Anthony Steele, IMF Wrestling. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. And stay tuned tomorrow afternoon. We'll have an announcement for another guest to come on, another big-time name. You'll just have to wait with anticipation. But we want to thank everybody who's tuned in tonight. Thank you, Comatose, for the Baja Blast reference. I appreciate that very much. Maybe you'll take over for me on Sportswire. Time to retire. And Anthony, thank you for coming on in your usual way. And glad you and Zilla are friends for now until tomorrow. Who knows when? But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio, that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling